What causes more harm to Mother Earth? EV vehicles or traditional gasoline slash diesel vehicles? Now, when I'm talking about gasoline and diesel, I'm just going to clump it into one and just call it gas just for this video. So we're all tracking. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons of both, right? Now, we know most of our vehicles run off of gasoline and diesel. And the negatives would be such as carbon monoxide that comes out of the tailpipe. It doesn't burn as efficiently as it should. And we also know negative terms like fracking. Just to be clear, I'm against fracking. It's bad. But words like fracking, I'm just going to give you a really oversimplified definition of fracking. Fracking is when you dig into the earth, either something like liquid or gas escapes up out of the earth when it's not supposed to, right? And it's extremely harmful to the earth, to the water source where you may be fracking at, to the animals, to the people, and obviously to the ozone layer. That is extremely bad. I'm not going against that. I'm agreeing with that. That is bad. We need to find a better way of getting cleaner in that sense, right? So, things like EV vehicles. Typically, when you hear the term EV vehicles, you hear zero emissions being thrown out a lot. But in all actuality, that zero emissions is not correct. When they're talking about zero emissions, they're actually talking about what's coming out of the tailpipe. But due to the fact that any moving vehicle, including a bicycle, once you put rubber on that, you're going to give off emissions. Rubber gives off emissions at a certain temperature, especially when it's super, super hot. Places like California, places like Nevada, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, anywhere in the South where it gets extremely hot, you will see the emissions coming off of those tires for that reason. So that's the reason why they said zero emissions out of the tailpipe. But what they don't talk about is the EV production has a higher carbon footprint up front. That's the part that they don't discuss. And these raw materials that it takes to put these EV vehicles together, such as lithium and cobalt. The nearest country to me that has lithium and cobalt production would be Canada. So for example, if we're taking an EV vehicle such as the Toyota Prius, which is mainly manufactured still in Japan, so that would mean the United States would have to send someone up into Canada to do the digging. And they use machines such as the Caterpillar 6090 FX. Then you have things like the wheel loaders. And then you have the dozers, which push the land, right? And the drag line excavators. That is what scoops them up and then dumps it in that humongous dump truck. But what people don't realize is it causes more harm because each one of those equipment that I put out there takes hundreds of gallons of diesel fuel in order to make and scoop up and get ready to transport all of that raw material that you need. So now they have all of those up there. Now they got to ship it over to Japan. Well, there's only one way you can do that. They're going to put it on barge. Now, those barge, once again, they also require more diesel fuel. They have marine diesel fuel for that. So now you have to send it from Canada all the way over the Pacific Ocean to Japan. And then once you actually get to Japan, now you actually still have to get more diesel vehicles to offload it, to transport it to the factory, which we know factories, no matter where they're at, they're polluting the air, they're polluting the water just to put those materials together. So let's say now the EV vehicles are all put together. Now it's ready for production and sales. Well, guess what? Once again, it has to go on another barge to be shipped out no matter where it's at in the world. Let's say it's coming back to the United States. Once again, more diesel marine fuel is being used to transport it. So now, once you get to the United States, still have to offload that. So another diesel truck has to go pick them up and then distribute them all through wherever they need to be distributed to. Guys, that is the part that most people fail to realize. That carbon footprint right there is causing so much more harm. Let's not get started if that battery goes bad. Because guess what? When you have those batteries go bad, they are not biodegradable. They are not good for the environment. They cannot be used. So, if it stays on land or in the dirt, guess what? It's going to cause more harm to the land and the dirt that it's sitting in. And we know that these EV vehicles are highly combustible, especially when you live around places like Florida or the South that has a lot of salt water. They have a negative reaction to salt water. Once on the road, these EV vehicles have half the life of emissions as a regular gasoline vehicle, but that is mainly if the power grids are actually clean, which in the United States, they are not. My point of this is not to make you feel some type of way. It's actually to help you learn and grow and ultimately question everything that you have been taught, because 9 times out of 10, it can be proven wrong. For so long, we have been telling people with EV vehicles, oh, you get the EV vehicles, you do really, really good. But once again, people like to look at the end, but not the beginning. They like to look at the effect and not the cause. They like to look at the reaction, but not what caused that reaction to happen. For those who have EV vehicles, now that you know this, do you believe that your EV vehicle is actually better for the earth or worse for the earth? If you guys enjoyed this Fun Fact Friday, go ahead and like and follow for more car facts.